what the bank asks back from me is about 100th of what I make a month, generally with One. So how a lot of people don't understand credit. I didn't understand credit. I was working really hard at it for a year or so until finally something happened. I had to come back to. I was in Okinawa at that point in time. I had to come back to the States, and the bank was like, "You don't have any credit." What do you mean? Of course I have credit. I've gotten loans to y'all before, paid them off real quick, and so I found out what I was doing wrong. So just real quick, 5 tips for good credit, or to possibly fix your credit. Number 1 is budget and stick to it. If you don't have a budget that works, nothing else is gonna work. Doesn't matter. Period. If you don't know what you have, you don't know what you're working with. You can't do anything. So number 1 is having a budget. Number 2 is knowing your credit score and disputing old stuff. Now, it says right here, PS, ECU, and USAA offer single agency scores. The point of that was just to say that some banks now actually offer a single agency score. If you're not aware, there are 3 agencies that give you your credit score, and you do have an aggregate score. It's not as important as you might think it is. The 3 agencies are used for different things. FICO is normally used for buying houses, I believe buying cars as well, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of people just look at their FICO score. It's not the only one that's important. Experian is the one you're most likely to see, but it's not that important because it's not used for big purchases. Anyway, the point is just there's 3 credit scores, and you can get at least an idea from some banks now. So know your credit score. And disputing old stuff. Look on your credit score. I'm sorry, your not credit score, your credit reports. So your credit report is different from your credit score. When I looked at my credit report, I found out that when I was younger than 17, they tried to get me for high school taxes, to pay taxes for high school. Well, you're in high school, obviously you don't pay high school taxes. So I disputed that and got it. I disputed that and got it removed off my credit score, and my credit score immediately jumped up like 100 or so points at that point in time. One of the things I learned is dispute around the holidays, especially Christmas. Nobody wants to deal with it. So it's going to work a lot better. I'm not saying like, well, you're not hustling anyone. It's just that they're going to work expeditiously because they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to have something they're coming back off of Christmas to deal with. So they're going to work with it, work it quickly. Anyway, so one of the things a lot of people aren't aware of is open multiple credit cards. Why? Because your credit score is actually based off of your available credit versus used credit or your debt ratio. That's how your credit score, a lot of times, that's like a third of your credit score. That and also paying your stuff off. Anyway, the other side of that is if you have credit cards you never use, you now have emergency money. So say you get 3 credit cards, all for $1,000 each, your limits. If you don't use 2 of them, you now have $2,000 should you ever need it. It doesn't just go away. We understand that. So of course, you're going to try not to get something that has an annual fee or anything of that nature, so you can shop around and find these. And then the third one, the one that you're going to use, which brings us to our next point. For a lot of people, if you have a good budget and you have decent discipline, it's as simple as switching your debit card to your credit card. So the things that you normally pay off with your debit card throughout the month, you're going to pay that with your credit card. At the end of the month, you're going to use that exact same amount of money and pay off your credit card. That way you don't have any interest to deal with, and you're building your credit rating. And that works very well. That's how in 10 years I went from 6, whatever you start with, to the 818. Now kind of a caveat for that, you have to have some discipline, which a lot of people don't have. So what I recommend is making sure that credit card you're using doesn't have any more than you make in a pay period, a month at the very most. So that way if things go south, you can pretty quickly pay that off. You're not dragging on a bunch of debt with you. And the last one is avoiding hard inquiries. So a lot of people aren't necessarily aware. You shop around for a car or something, and you think you're being a good, responsible buyer by going to 20 different car agencies. Well, you are, but not really, because every time they say, well, let us run your credit to see where you're at, it drops, exactly. And that hard inquiry can take a while to come off your score. What you're better off doing is knowing your own score. It's actually going to save you money, even if you have to pay money up front, to go get your score, print it, and bring it with you. It makes sense. That should be part of your car buying or house buying experience anyway. You should have your credit score with you, along with whatever else papers, and bring that. That way, they don't have to go through your score. You can avoid hard inquiries.
Where you said you're going off buy it, where you going off what? Are you going off .com store deal, or where are you going down to get it?
You can get it from a bunch of places. Freecreditscore.com is going to do. Yes. So like the freecreditscore.com, the cool thing about it is about once a year, it gives you all 3 complete scores.
Free.
Yes, for free. Absolutely for free. Now most of the agencies that are monitoring your credits are going to be about $20 a month. A lot of people say, "Oh, that's a lot." No, it's not, because when I bought my car, I actually got a better percentage than I got for my house. Interest rate. And the interest rate of my house is a VA loan for a disabled veteran, specifically in the state of Texas, versus a used car, which definitely shouldn't have that low of a rate. So what happens is you end up saving money in the long run, because I went there and I was buying the car. So what happened was, I should probably give a little bit of backstory. Someone rear-ended my car, and so I had to get a new car. I wasn't planning on it, so I just bought a house. I went in, and my credit score just dropped like 100 points, almost, and I was embarrassed about it, and it was still higher than most people's. Anyway, so I went in to ask them to get a car, and I ended up writing. I'm not very good at haggling. I don't have the patience for it, so I wrote down a number, and I was like, "This is what I want. Like, this is the number we're going for, and if we can get this number, you have a sale." So they didn't want to mess with their dollar amount, which is understandable. That's fine. That's what goes in their pocket. But their in-house financing, they can move the percentage. They can move the what's it called? Interest. Thank you. And so what happened was, the end number didn't change, but what I paid per month changed. And why that matters is because it doesn't matter if you're paying $17,000 or $21,000. You're paying $300 a month for 60 months.